Now, you've heard a lot about the banks and how banks are innovating and fintech and all of these things happening around banking, and some people even saying banks won't exist in 10 years' time. Well, who knows? But one of the banks that's really innovating at a rapid pace and has been so for a while is FNB. And joining us in the studio is Peter Alkamer, who's the CIO for FNB Business Banking. Peter, nice to have you with us in the studio. Tell us about what you guys are doing with your Innovation Month, as I would call it.
Absolutely. And I mean, Ernst & Young have just released a report, and talent is one of the top 5 drivers of banking in developing economies. We've got a partnership with Wethinkcode, which is a very innovative source of software engineering skills that we are very excited about, and offers this free 2-year education program for anyone from the age of 17 to 35, and means that it complements our traditional source of skills from the tertiary education environment. So we're going to plug that capability into a number of initiatives that we're running in September and through early October. And the most important one of those really is this Codefest. We ran 2 of them very successfully last year, and we're expanding in the model that we'll be running this year. And we're also doing a huge component around learning and enabling this talent in our own organization to make sure that these wonderful topics that we learn about from Singularity University and from the market and all of this fun, interesting stuff that the world is doing, that we can then enable those skills to come into the organization. We're also driving a huge amount of sharing, and we've got lots of cool stuff, but we're a big organization, and it's important to create an environment in which people can come and learn about that and enhance the product and services across the rest of the First Rand group, of which FNB is the retail component. So in addition to that, we're going to have the 3rd Africa DevOps Day, where there's a collaboration with the other banks, which I think is very important. And if you look at a lot of solutions that are coming through around blockchain, for example,
yes,
this does require collaboration in the industry. The fundamental nature of a distributed public ledger, which has all the ingredients of being a huge disruptor in our environment, requires that we are talking to each other as much as possible. And then I think on top of that, remaining as competitive as we need to. So Codefest for us is that trigger in the IT and the technology skills world for us at FNB and across the First Rand Group. Westbank and RMB are part of that as well. Bringing together over 250 developers for a 48-hour coding marathon, where we understand from business what are the problems that they want us to solve, and this idea of putting all of these skills in a fishbowl type of environment, creates that focus around the best practices and ways of working to achieve cool outcomes for business to take to their customers.
That is absolutely fascinating. As the CIO of FNB's Business Banking, what keeps you awake at night?
Aki, it's about balancing priorities. So we also have to run a big bank. We have to make sure that all of those capabilities, those architectures, those rails are working effectively. If you look across security and making sure that we keep our customer data private, etc. All of those are core run the bank requirements. And we have a limited skill set. So back to the topic of talent, as long as we're prioritizing those skills and we're not burning fuel on topics that are potentially wasting some of the capacity, then I think we're optimally positioned to maintain and run effectively what we've got, and then innovate for the wave of evolution that we're chasing. And I think for me it comes down to leadership. We're placed in positions of leadership because we know when to make the tough decisions. We know how to reallocate resources to be responsive, but equally focused on the efficiencies and the drivers of the core of our business.
Absolutely fascinating. Peter, thanks for joining us.